Oh, what's going on, YouTube? My name is SlapHappyGreen, coming at you like a back of the hand because we are back for another video for ESL One Cologne. We're actually back for day 2 today. Day 1 yesterday, opening matches. Today was losers and winners brackets for each group. They ran it slightly differently than the last major Columbus did. The way MLG ran it in Columbus was they had all the losers brackets play first and then all the winners brackets play afterwards. Whereas here at ESL basically just ran a standard by group, A winners, A losers, B winners, B winners. So going through the games, to be honest, Group A, a little bit of a runaway. First match of the day, winners brackets, Astralis versus Gambit. A little bit of a rough game for Astralis, and with coming to light some of the stuff afterwards, which I'll talk about in a little bit as prep for day 3. Kind of interesting to see just how one-sided this map was. They played to a 16-6 result on, just double checking the map, I think it was, no, Dust 2. Naturally a map you think Astralis would do decent on. They've got the skill for it, they've got the positioning for it. Watching this game, they seem to have positioning, but they just never seem to be able to frag well enough. Very well played by Gambit in this game. I think a lot of people would consider this a pretty big upset, Gambit winning over Astralis, but Gambit showed themselves off very well at the last major, and they continued their strong play. Good win yesterday. Even better one today. Not really surprised to see Gambit moving on. Maybe a little bit surprised to see them moving on as first place in their division, though. Not really a whole lot to say about this one. It was just a matter of, in a game where Astralis probably should have outplayed Gambit, it actually ended up being the other way around. Gambit was hitting the shots, Astralis wasn't. Second game of the day, I definitely kind of screwed up on this one. I felt like yesterday, after yesterday's matches and the performances put on by CLG and Dignitas, I figured this would be a very good game. Kind of went out on a little bit of a limb saying that I thought CLG would win this one, based off of how I saw them play yesterday, and they came out and laid a gigantic goose egg. Did manage to pick up the one round in the first half, but for a CLG team that looked okay yesterday, they looked absolutely abysmal in day 2. Maybe just not getting a great map for this in Cobblestone, but they looked lost for pretty much the entire match, and Rubino, particularly on Dignitas, coming through with a huge 30 bomb, just ran right over them. CLG just seemed to not be able to put up any sort of a defense against Dignitas' T-side on Cobble. Again, just not really much to say about it. Dignitas came in, they basically made themselves look like a tier 1 team playing against a tier 5 team in that match. Like, I know that's not where those teams are, but that's what it looked like based upon how hard Dignitas ran over CLG. Third map of the day, Navi, NIP, great match. Another Cobblestone match. Good match. Good map for NIP. They kind of trademarked a couple things on this map, like some of the smokes that they throw in mid towards B site during the last major. So definitely expecting a very close map coming into this, and we got it. Navi picked up 6 rounds on their CT side in the first half. Looked strong, but NIP comes out of the first half with the lead, as you'd expect for a team starting T side. But second half, Navi controlled a huge majority of the play. Pretty much always seem to be keeping NIP on their heels. If I remember, can't remember if it was this match or not, but if I remember correctly, Navi actually lost both pistols in this matchup, and then took back the second rounds. Not sure if I'm actually remembering that for the right matchup, for the right game, but I know there was one of those today. And I think that was the Navi and IP matchup. Again, A lot of good control by Navi. Huge fight. Both teams played well, but there can only be one winner. Navi just maybe showing a little bit more on their CT side, being able to hold sites a little bit better. NIP showed a couple of really nice plays, a couple good bait and switches, including on pistol round where they had 2 players lower A, usually, and 1 guy long, setting up an effective crossfire coming out of underpass onto a slope that got them a good 2 or 3 kills in the pistol round that helped them win the pistol round second half. But Navi came back with second round of the half, stole it back, and Nip had some good plays, but Navi just able to counter them, just kind of sniff them out, take control of the game. Game 2 of Group B, Optic versus Flipside. This one was a little bit of a disappointing match for me. Didn't get to see it like I would have liked to, but I did was able to listen to it on Twitch and did watch a bit of it before recording this video just to kind of get a feel for it. Again, another match I kind of crapped the bet on. Was very pro-Optic coming into this match. Was definitely looking forward to a good performance from them. Thought they would have a great chance to win this match, especially if Mixwell performed something he wasn't able to do against NIP the day one. But really nobody on Optic performed on day one. Day 2, bit of a different story, but not really. Mixwell came out huge, dropped 32. But unfortunately his 32 frags were more than double the next highest frag count on Optic for that game. Mixwell performed really well. You can obviously see the kind of player that this guy is, how good of an opera he is, and why he is on Optic. But just a couple of decent plays here and there by other guys on the team, but nobody really doing anything consistently on Optic other than Mixwell, and because of that, Flipside able to mainly control the game. Still ended up being close at 16-13 on train, but definitely not as strong of a team performance as I would have liked to have seen. Mainly Mixwell being the reason why they were still in that game, why that game was as close as it was. A little bit disappointing for me. I was really hoping to see Optic win this, go into the best of 3 tomorrow, maybe put on a little bit of a show, but unfortunately not what's going to be happen. But I am looking forward to seeing how these guys grow off of this. Obviously probably not the best performance that they would have liked to have put up here at the major, but definitely good learning experience. Looking forward to see how they grow from there. As we get into the later half of the games, our winners match from Group C, Liquid and Virtus Pro. Remember correctly, this was Cobblestone. Just double check that. Yes, it was Cobblestone. Overall, sounded like a good match again. Another one I wasn't able to watch in person live at the time. Did watch a little bit of it before recording this video. Seemed like a very good match. Sounded like a very good match. Seemed like a very even match too. Especially through the first half. Liquid doing a good job on their T side after Virtus Pro controlled early. 6-2, I believe it was. I believe 6-2 was the score at one point in Virtus Pro's favor on the first half on CT side before Liquid won out the half. So you got to think, considering that maybe a little bit of a slow start on T side, if Liquid had come out a little bit stronger, probably would have been a game they won. A little bit of an off game by Hiko. He only dropped 11 frags in this game. Simple went very large in this game. Nitro had a great game. Elige, a couple of good plays, but not really consistent. And JDM was on and off as well. But on the other side, on Virtus Pro, very good performance by Snacks. A couple of huge 2 and 3Ks with the AWP in particular. A couple of good clutches by Taz. And overall, the Virtus Pro team, particularly on their T side, no slow start on the T side for VP, allowed them to control the majority of the play for the half. Good 16-12 victory for them. I honestly thought Team Liquid would have this. but Virtus Pro came out strong at the beginning, allowed them to set up a good first half on a weaker side on the map, and that allowed them to put in good work on T side on the second half. A lot of good shots hit by both teams, a lot of good plays made by both teams. Just Virtus Pro a little bit more consistent up and down the lineup in this game, and just a little bit more consistent overall in this match. So good victory by them. Next match, losers match between Mouse and Envious. As you guys can maybe see a little bit of a trend going. Another train match. A lot of matches on either train or cobblestone these first 2 days. I think I saw a thing saying like 93% of the game so far between the first 2 days have been on either cobblestone or train. So a lot of similar bands coming out, leaving us in very similar situations as far as the map picks going either way. A lot of cobble, a lot of train. I think a couple of dust 2s for the rest of them. I don't think we've seen anything else at this point. I don't think we've seen any mirages. I don't think we've seen any of the other caches. I don't think we've seen any overpasses either. I know Nuke has been very heavily banned in this. But yeah, Mouse, Envious again on train. Both of these teams actually played train matches yesterday. Envious against Team Liquid, Mouse versus BP. Almost forgetting who they played again. Overall, a good match. A lot of good plays by both teams. Sounded like it was really going. This is one I didn't actually watch any of afterwards. It seemed like overall both teams kind of put in good performances. Kenny played well. Apex with a number of good kills. Even Devil with a couple of good plays up close, personal. Particularly on CT side, I think, was where he had most of his better plays. But the story in this match was definitely Mouse Sports. In a game where Nico did not have a great game, and normally Nico is basically win condition for Mouse Sports. If this guy's not playing well, generally nobody else is, and they're just getting wrecked. But in this game, Nico, not the best performance except for maybe the last couple of rounds for him. But for the majority of the game, his teammates, particularly Chris J, particularly Speedy, and even Dennis and X, definitely picked him up here, definitely played well. And they were more than able to pick up the slack and keep Mouse Sports alive. They won first half on CT side 8-7. I think a lot of people were counting them out at that point. I know the casters were. I could hear that. Saying that 8-7 was not going to be anywhere near good enough for them, that they were going to have a lot of work to do. And on the T side, they did it. They put in work. And because of that, they picked up 8 rounds and played a very good match on train against Envious. So a lot of trains for these two teams first 2 days. It's going to be interesting to see what the map pool goes on to as the best of 3 start up tomorrow. Things are going to expand a little bit. It's not going to be just train. It's not going to be just cobblestone. Although I'm assuming we'll probably still see our fair share of those 2 maps. We will finally start to see other maps like Overpass, like Mirage, like Cache get played a little bit more, as teams are not able to ban as many maps as they are the first 2 days. So this leads us into D bracket. Winners bracket with SK versus FaZe. First game. Another cobblestone game. Strong map for SK. Not so much for FaZe. They just never really seemed to manage to get anything going. Lost a lot of gun battles. Never really seemed to pick up the advantage in a lot of rounds. And even when they did, SK often able to pull out clutches, just bring rounds back when it looked like they shouldn't be in them. Trying to think of any plays in particular that come to mind, because I know in the moment, listening to the games, a lot of rounds that kind of stood out, but unfortunately not able to keep track of them pen and paper wise as I was for Columbus, when I was able to actually be in front of the computer watching those games. So overall, FaZe had a lot of trouble dealing with Coldzera, Chicken Coop on CT side. Like, for a map that's generally considered very T-sided, FaZe just not able to put up a lot on their T side. A lot of that was trouble handling Coldzera with the op at Chicken Coop. and he went back and forth between there and behind statue on site. Taco with a number of good plays from close up or alleyway on B side as well, and just doing a good job of controlling key areas like long at A, like plat at B, like drop zone, just not really giving FaZe enough room to really ever put anything together on their T side. Good control by SK. Then when they finally got on their T side, just kind of took control, pretty much ran away with it. At this point, SK is looking like really one of the big teams to beat. They look like they're going to be hard to stop. Like, they look like they're just as on point, on form as they were in the last major. Well, they were still Luminosity. And good chance of these guys, I think, repeating as champions. Unless they run into literally a brick wall somewhere. And I just don't think that's going to happen. Moving on to the last match of the day, last match of the winner's bracket, we have G2 versus Fnatic. Very good game, very close game. Very up and down for me emotionally wise. Great game by both teams, of course. G2 in particular, a lot of great performances. Scream, RPK, Smiths, very good performances by those guys. Same time on the other side, good game by Fnatic. Very disappointed with the finish of this one. I think it was at like 14-12 or something like that. 14-11, 14-12, something like that. G2 was in a very good position to win around, bring it one step closer to being back into a tie game. Up 3v1 in a round, 3v2 actually. Shocks with an op Ivy, one player playing towards Decon, one player towards Pop Dog. They seem to be in a great position post plant. Some good kills to make it a good kill to make it 1v3, but G2 unable to notice and deal with a Fnatic player ninja diffusing on a site. Play that they should never have let happen. Allows Fnatic to get on match point, and unfortunately G2 unable to pull off the comeback fully with no room for error, falling in the 29th round. Good game by both teams. A little bit of a disappointing finish. Would have liked to have seen that get a little bit closer, maybe go into overtime. One thing we haven't had yet, that we actually had a lot of in the group stages of last major, was a lot of overtimes. It's going to be interesting, and a lot of good games maybe ending a little bit too early because of some odd or bad mistakes made late. And I think that Ninja Diffuse, definitely one of them. And unfortunately, we knew coming into this major, I talked about it in pre-tournament show at the beginning, this really was the group of death. You've got FaZe in here, you got G2, you got Fnatic, you got SK. 3 top 5 teams, and FaZe is no slouch either. They showed that when they beat Fnatic in day 1. You knew no matter what happened, one very good team was going to be going out in groups. And to see a team that's been on such a roll like G2 be the first team out in this division, in this group, very sad. Especially when you consider there are a lot of maybe so-so teams that are still left. And you know what? That's kind of the way the seeding rolls. That's kind of the way momentum amongst team kind of rolls. Because of the way the seeding was done, because of the way the qualifying was done, it allowed this group to be as loaded as it was. And unfortunately, a team that could have still had a lot of good matches in this tournament is out early because of it. A little bit unfortunate, but that's the way it rolls. So that covers all the games from day 1. Sorry, day 2 actually. Day 1 was yesterday. So we move into day 3, and day 3 of course is the best of 3s to decide second place in all the groups. That includes the winner of the loser bracket matches and the loser of the winner bracket matches. So Groups 1's match is going to be Astralis versus Dignitas. It's actually going to be a rematch of the Day 1 Best of 1 between the two Danish teams. Unfortunate news, though, because Dupree had to be taken to hospital due to some stomach pains, and it has been officially announced that he is actually out for the remainder of the major, however that long that is for Astralis, because he actually has to have surgery in order to fix, I think it's some inflammatory issues in his intestines. Could be wrong, but that's really rough news for Astralis. Just trying to remember who it is who's going to be subbing in for them. I don't remember offhand. Quick double check here as I open up my nice little esports app that everybody in their right mind on the major seems to want to talk about. Just trying to see if I can find it. Hi, Dennis. I'm just kind of looking on Reddit. There we go. Zonic is standing in for Dupree because of the issues. Yes. So he's out of the major because he has to undergo surgery for an appendix infection. Intestines, whatever. So Astralis coach Zonic is going to be stepping in for them. Unfortunate series of events for Astralis at this point. They're already playing with a stand-in with Glaive for Kiarbi, and now Zonic has to step in for Dupree due to this appendix issue. It's not an appendix. Yeah, appendicitis. Unfortunate break for Astralis. It's going to be interesting to see how that affects their ability to take the game to Dignitas tomorrow. Obviously, I don't know Zonic's history. I really don't. I know he's their coach, but biggest issue for me was, if I remember correctly, Dupree was one of the players on Astralis who had a big game against Dignitas on day 1. Yeah, Device, Dupree, and Glaive were the three that really kind of led the way for Astralis day 1 versus Dignitas. So to have him drop down, have to have Zonic step in, it's going to be really interesting to see how big of a difference that's going to make in their setups and the way that they play. And this could really open up the door for Dignitas to be able to upset Astralis in the best of 3. And a team that should go through to the playoffs is another one that could be out early in a little bit of a weaker division due to personnel issues, due to KRB not being able to be there, and now due to illness on Dupree's part. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of maps these guys pick. Nuke and Train were the first 2 bans for these guys on day 1. So kind of leaves a lot of pretty wide map pool. Cobble, Dust, Cache, Overpass, Mirage, assuming those first 2 bans are the same. A lot of good maps there for both teams. 2 teams that know each other very well. Should, even with the stand-ins, should make for some very good Counter-Strike. Should be interesting to see who wins this. And now that there's 2 stand-ins playing in for Astralis, gotta wonder where the skill edge really is between these 2 teams, especially considering they know each other so well. Best of 3 number 2 is going to be NIP versus Flipside. If I remember correctly, this is actually a little bit of a rematch from Columbus. I know NIP and Flipside did play at least once during the group stages at the last major, NIP winning, of course. I'd expect to see the same here. Kudos on Flipside on beating Optic today, but with the exception of Mixwell, I don't think they were given really too much of a challenge. I kind of expect NIP to run away with this one. Probably will be a 2-0. Just a better team overall. We'll see in this match if Flipside can grind out some rounds, maybe try and keep it close, but I just don't really see Flipside being able to put up the kind of numbers necessary to be able to actually win this best of 3. Match 3 of the day will be Liquid versus Mouse. A little bit of a disappointing performance by Liquid today. On the other side, really surprising performance from Mousesports to see the rest of the Mousesports lineup, other than Nico, kind of stepping up to carry the weight. Nico having a little bit of an off game. Should be an interesting matchup. I would expect Liquid to take this. Just skill-wise, I think Liquid is definitely a little bit of a better team. But if Mousesports has the majority of its roster step up like it did today, it could definitely still be a very close matchup and a possible upset. I don't think it will be, but the possibility is there. So again, another interesting matchup. Last match of the day will be FaZe versus Fnatic. Rematch of day one. Again, similar to the Strauss Dignitas one. FaZe did beat Fnatic on day one, but going into a best of 3 here to decide second place in division. Don't think that FaZe will be able to pull off the same sort of upset in 2 maps as it did on day one in 1 map. I just don't think that FaZe has a deep enough map pool compared to Fnatic, and I don't think that the talent level on the teams is close enough that FaZe will be able to grab enough, especially considering how easily they were kind of dealt with by SK in the game today. I think they're gonna be on a little bit of a downswing, and should be a decent pickup for Fnatic. I think it'll most likely be a 2-0. I highly doubt that FaZe will actually even be able to pick up any maps against Fnatic in this best of 3. Could happen, and obviously if that does happen, that does give FaZe a chance, but if they do want to have the chance to win this best of 3, I think it's going to need the first one, because I don't think they're going to be able to beat Fnatic on back-to-back maps. So I think if FaZe wants to have a chance, they have to come out swinging, and they got to kind of push and surprise Fnatic on map 1. But I don't think Fnatic will allow FaZe to do that. So that's kind of my opinion. Day 2 going into day 3. Obviously some unfortunate issues for Astralis. Losing Dupree, having to bring in Sonic from basically behind the bench. A little bit unfortunate to see Optic go out so early. Was definitely looking for a bit of a better showing. Maybe not being able to have the coach in the booth with them. They didn't register their coach in time. He had to be sitting in the stands. Maybe affected the way that they played. Weren't able to make calls as well as they should have, and led to an early exit. But a lot of good games so far. Game of the day for me, probably either Navi versus NIP or Liquid versus Virtus Pro. Probably 2 of the better games of the day in my opinion. Hopefully we continue to see good matches in day 3 and into the playoffs. We're kind of basically at the not quite halfway point of the tournament at this part. And hopefully we still see some good games to come. A little bit of upset potential available, especially considering how weak the Astralis lineup has been made due to the injury to Dupree. And should be some good close matches tomorrow, with maybe the exception of NIP and Flipside. That'll probably be the widest margin of victory. Will be NIP Flipside, I think, unless Flipside pulls off something really special or NIP does something really stupid. But anyways, that's gonna be it for me for today. If you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like. If you guys are looking forward to seeing more or missed any of the previous days, you can check out what happened to them in my previous videos. But that's gonna do it for me for today. You guys know me on YouTube, SlapHappyGreen, and I'll see you guys in the next video. For now,